afternoon, and this is my response. I'll begin with Dr. Elizabeth. Your question concerned informed consent of a counselor who has a provisional license and is under clinical supervision. What are the components of informed consent? And I would say the most important component concerns confidentiality. If you are under clinical supervision, confidentiality is between the client and you, the counselor, and the client and the person who is conducting the clinical supervision. And the client needs to be aware of that. They need to know that. And I think it can be a very positive thing rather than a negative thing in reference to the client. If a counselor is being supervised, especially if they're just starting out, it's good to have somebody look over their shoulder just to make sure that they're doing things as they need to. I know I certainly would want to. This relates to competency. If you're speaking to somebody, this is the very first time you've ever counseled someone, I would think it would be a benefit to the client to have someone oversee that work and make sure that that work is being conducted the way it's supposed to be conducted. So that definitely has to be part of informed consent in reference to a counselor under provisional licensing that's under clinical supervision, that the client understand that what the confidentiality entails, that it's between the client, you the counselor, and the counselor who is providing the clinical supervision. Patrick, in reference to your video, like you, I was very impressed that this person who had a doctoral degree provided such extensive informed consent, things such as billing, things such as early termination, all the things that you enumerated that this person had in informed consent. Very impressed. And like you, somewhat amazed that this person would not state what their credentials and experience are, especially since that's part of the ACA code. And I was impressed that you stated that that was part of the ACA code, that a counselor state what their credentials and experience are. I think this person just overlooked that, and it's easy to do. And that's why you have other people oversee your work and look it over. That's why if you're doing it yourself, you have a person who's also a counselor look over your paperwork and be able to comment on it and shed light on some things maybe you missed. Because as human beings, we tend to overlook things. And I think in reference to your video that's exactly what the counselor did. They just simply overlooked stating what their credentials and experience were.